Dating dilemmas once a month. Frank Kermit joins us of franktalks.com. You know, he does offer coaching to men, so you could get in touch with him. Frank at franktalks.com. He wrote the book, Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, Man's Guide to Satisfying the Emotional Needs of Women. Also a book for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. So this is exactly what we're talking about, is trying to understand, and according to Frank's theory, that if you understand the emotional needs of each gender, then communication is better. Success, you have more success in your relationships, and more success in dating as well, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you teach that right off the bat.
Exactly. You know, one of the things that's always brought up to me is the fact that I am not a stereotypical, great-looking guy. However, you give me a half hour in a conversation with a woman, and I'll get her intrigued. And it's just based on my ability to communicate with her.
You're just charming. You know it.
I wouldn't say I'm charming. Amazing human being, yes. Charming, that might be pushing it.
All right, so what are some of the other emotional needs of women that we're looking at? We talked about the little girl in her, catering to that, her reputation. Do a lot of women have a fear of abandonment? Because I see that's on your list, too, of emotional needs of women.
Fear of abandonment can be huge for some women.
For some men, too, though.
Yes, except that for men, it has a very different effect.
Okay.
When a man fears abandonment, it means he can't stand on his own. He comes across as creepy, as weak,
needy?
as clingy, and needy.
Okay.
So when a guy says, "Please don't leave me," now he might be trying to express, "You're so important to me, please don't go."
Right.
However, him having a fear of abandonment means that he'll never be trusted to lead, because leaders cannot ever fear abandonment. And if he's expected to be assertive in any relationship, he can't fear abandonment. The same way that a man doesn't have the luxury of fearing rejection. You know what happens when a guy fears rejection?
He doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do anything, and he could end up a 40-year-old virgin.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of adult-aged virgins. Why? That fear of rejection.
You wrote a book on that too, didn't you?
Yes, I did. The Adult Male Virgin Handbook, also at franktalks.com. For a woman, fear of abandonment, I think, at least in terms of my understanding of it, it's not just a biological need where she might end up having a kid and then get stuck alone and abandoned.
Right.
There's the idea that she has a biological clock. And this is one of the biggest differences between men and women. When I explain this to men, it's almost like the light bulb just goes on. A man doesn't think in terms of a biological clock because
Well, he can do it anytime.
he can start a family at the age of 45 if he wants to.
55, 65, 75 if he wants to.
He can waste his life playing video games and with his little Star Wars figures in the basement for years and then decide
Great.
one day, okay, I'm going to spend the next 2 years working on myself and get married, and he could be well into his late 40s and 50s. He can still start a family.
Right.
Women don't have that option.
No.
In fact, the older she gets before she has her first child, the higher the risks are, not only to her, but also to her children.
Well, of course. We know that the chances of pregnancies after 45 are under 10%, under 5% even.
And we're also talking about the health of the child.
And the health of the, right.
So there's
right.
more risks there.
Sure.
When my wife and I were pregnant, and we were subject to a lot more tests because we were in our mid-30s when we were having our first child. So this is a very real thing. And women are very, very much, they have this on the mind.
Right.
You know, every month they get a reminder that
Right.
time is ticking away and they have a limited amount of time.
And limited amount of eggs.
So their resources are constantly going down. So they're thinking in terms of, wow, I'm running out of time. So are you the one? Are you not the one? Should I take the chance? Should I not take the chance? What if I make a mistake and you leave? And I'm going to end up being single with a kid. I'm going to be alone. And it's going to be even harder for me to attract another life partner. A guy doesn't have this on his mind. So he doesn't understand why a girl is going to make such a big deal about things when they're dating. So when I explain...
Or pressuring him, you mean, or trying to find out where it's at or where...
Exactly. Because she's thinking, look, I got a limited amount of time here. If I want to have kids while I'm young enough and healthy enough, maybe I want to have 3 or 4 kids. I don't have time to waste.
Right.
So step up, guy.
Right.
And he's thinking, I don't get it. Why is she putting this pressure on me? Can't we just enjoy what we have right now?
Right. It's good now. Why change it?
Exactly.
Right.
When I explain to guys, listen, she has a biological clock. And what you're doing, wasting her time, is unethical. Because
but he may not be thinking he's wasting time, because he's probably thinking, well, maybe it'll go somewhere, maybe it won't. I'm just waiting.
He has the luxury of waiting.
Right.
He has the luxury of taking his time. She doesn't.
Right.
That's one of the biggest differences between men and women. And when a guy finally understands, oh my, she has a biological clock, it starts getting him into the process of what is the ethical thing to do. And the ethical thing to do is that even if I want to date her, if I don't plan to marry this girl, if I don't plan to have kids with her, she has to be free to find her soulmate, whoever that may be.
Obviously, that doesn't happen in the first date or the second date, but at least not years into the relationship.
I find it very unethical when a guy will string a girl along after 2 or 3 years, and he's already got in his head, I still don't know what I want to do with her. You know, I don't know if I want to marry or not. You know what? Set her free.
Right.
Okay, set her free. She deserves the chance to find her soulmate and to build a future and a family.
Right.
Because once she loses that opportunity, it doesn't come back for her.
Right. That's a good point. 514-790-0991. If you've got questions about the emotional needs of men and women and the differences and any struggles that maybe you have encountered because of maybe difficulty understanding each other, then we want to hear from you at 514-790-0991. You can also text us at 514-800. You're listening to Passion on CJAD 800.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the Adult Male Virgin Seminars and Telephone Consultations. If you are an adult and want to get a handle on this once and for all, you need this seminar. Being an adult male virgin can be most stigmatizing in today's society. You feel like a failure in the eyes of the mass culture around you, alienated from your male friends who all talk about their sexual conquests, and you must hide this shameful secret lest they use it against you. And the very personal pain, anguish, and despair that cannot be described by words that haunts you every moment of your life. Enough is enough. It is time for male virgins to take charge of their sex lives. Frank gives you the rules of winning in this seminar, the Adult Male Virgin Seminars and Telephone Consultations. Make your first time the best time of her life. Only available at franktalks.com. Frank helps adult boys turn into men.